The phone rang at 2:17 a.m., shattering the silence of the darkened bedroom. Anna jolted upright, her heart racing as Jason muttered, "Ignore it." The screen glowed, showing a name she had never seen before. She whispered, "Who is Sarah?" Jason's hand shot forward, yanking the phone away, his voice trembling as he said, "It's no one. Go back to sleep." Anna felt her stomach twist, her breath shallow, the room suddenly suffocating. The quiet hum of the ceiling fan sounded louder than her own pulse as she stared at him. Jason turned his back, his shoulders stiff, refusing her gaze. Her chest tightened with fear, suspicion clawing through her. She whispered, "Why would she call you this late?" Jason snarled, "Enough, Anna, just sleep." His tone was sharp, cutting deeper than the ringing itself. She lay frozen, eyes wide in the dim light, every nerve on fire, knowing something had just cracked open in the night. Morning light crept in, but Anna could not shake the night's echo. She watched Jason sip coffee in the kitchen, calm as if nothing had happened. She whispered, "Jason, who is she?" He smiled faintly, masking nerves, saying, "You imagine too much." The lie slipped smooth from his lips, but his eyes darted toward the window. Anna's chest burned, her trust colliding with doubt. She told herself, "Maybe I'm overthinking," yet the memory of his snarl gnawed at her. Jason reached for her hand, his warmth deceptive. She let him hold it, though her palm trembled, her mind screaming. Anna sat by the bedroom mirror, brushing her hair absent-mindedly, Jason's laughter echoing from the living room. She caught her own reflection, eyes hollow, whispers replaying. She muttered, "Sarah?" At 2 a.m., her voice breaking. Jason's charm carried into the room as he called, "Anna, are you ready?" She forced a smile into the mirror, but her eyes betrayed her heart. She whispered, "I'll never forget." Later, Anna's closest friend Laura visited, sensing tension. Laura said, "You look pale, Anna, what happened?" Anna forced a laugh, saying, "Just lack of sleep." Laura's eyes narrowed, she replied, "No, something's wrong." Anna's smile crumbled. She whispered, "A woman called him at night." Laura's face hardened. "That's no accident." Anna's chest tightened, fear colliding with shame. That night, Anna lay awake, Laura's warning repeating in her mind. Jason shifted beside her, whispering, "You trust me, don't you?" His tone was soft but heavy. She hesitated, then whispered, "Yes," though the words scraped her throat like glass. In the silence that followed, the distance between them felt colder than ice. Anna stared at the ceiling, knowing her world had begun to fracture. The Sunday sunlight spilled across the kitchen table as Anna tried to hold on to normalcy. Jason leaned closer, smiling warmly as if last night never existed. Anna forced herself to laugh at his stories, but her eyes lingered on his every move. He reached across the table, squeezing her hand as he said, "I can't imagine life without you." The words should have melted her heart, yet they felt rehearsed, hollow, practiced. She whispered, "I know," though her throat ached. Her chest trembled with the weight of both hope and fear. She looked at the breakfast untouched before her, her mind whispering doubts she dared not voice. Jason watched her too closely, his smile stretched thin, as if guarding himself with charm. Anna blinked fast, determined to believe, desperate to keep the picture perfect even as cracks deepened beneath the surface. Later that afternoon, Anna sat in the garden, her fingers tracing the edges of a forgotten book. Laura joined her, her eyes filled with quiet concern. Laura said, "You're somewhere else, Anna." Anna forced a small smile and replied, "I'm fine." But Laura leaned forward, whispering, "You're not fine. I can feel it." Anna sighed, her chest tightening, as she said, "What if love isn't what I thought?" Laura's gaze softened, "Then you find the strength to face it." Anna's throat tightened with both fear and gratitude. The air between them felt heavy with truths unspoken, a fragile bond holding her together for now. In the evening, Jason returned with flowers, setting them on the counter with exaggerated cheer. He said, "For you, Anna, because you're my everything." She looked at the bouquet, her smile thin, fragile. Her voice cracked as she whispered, They're beautiful. Jason pulled her close, pressing his lips to her temple, but his eyes flickered toward his phone buzzing in his pocket. Anna felt the vibration against him, the deceit humming between them. She held still in his arms, her mind whispering, "You're hiding something," even as his embrace tightened. Her pulse beat heavy, caught between love and suspicion. That night, Anna sat in bed with Laura's words echoing. Jason brushed his teeth in the bathroom, humming calm and composed. Anna whispered to herself, "If he loves me, why do I feel so small?" Jason returned, leaning against the doorway, smiling with false ease. He said, "We're okay, right?" Anna swallowed hard, whispering, "Yes." Jason nodded, climbing into bed as if the world were simple. Anna stared at him in silence, her chest aching, knowing the truth was closer than ever, waiting to break free. The next morning, Anna sat by the window, watching children play on the street. Jason joined her with 2 mugs of coffee, handing one to her. He said, "We're building something real, Anna. Don't doubt that." She held the mug, but didn't drink, whispering, "I want to believe you." Jason smiled, his hand brushing her arm, but she felt the tremor in her chest rise. She thought, love should not feel like this. Half hope, half fear. The sunlight outside seemed cruel, too bright against the shadows inside their home. Anna's heart ached, tethered between the life she dreamed and the lies she sensed. Anna walked through the hallway, her eyes drawn to Jason's coat hanging unevenly. A folded receipt peeked from the pocket, crisp against the fabric. She reached out with trembling fingers, pulling it free. Her eyes scanned the bold letters of a restaurant bill from last night. Her chest tightened as she whispered, "You weren't working late." Jason's footsteps echoed behind her, startling her into stillness. He said, looking for something. His voice was smooth, too smooth. She spun, forcing a smile, hiding the receipt behind her back. "Just tidying," she whispered. His eyes narrowed for a fleeting second before his smile returned. The silence between them screamed louder than words. Anna sat across from Laura at a cafe, stirring her coffee endlessly. Laura leaned in, voice hushed. "You found something, didn't you?" Anna whispered, "A dinner bill." But he said he worked late. Laura's brow furrowed, anger sparking in her eyes. She said, "He's lying, Anna. You can't keep ignoring this." Anna's hands shook as she muttered, "What if I'm wrong? What if I ruin everything?" Laura grasped her wrist firmly and said, "Truth doesn't ruin love. Lies do." Anna's throat ached as tears pooled in her eyes. That night, Anna lingered in the living room, watching Jason on the phone. His back was turned, his voice low, careful. She heard him murmur, "Not tonight. I'll explain later." Her chest constricted, her breath shallow. She whispered, "Who is he talking to?" Jason ended the call quickly, sliding the phone into his pocket. He turned, smiling as if nothing had happened. "Movie night?" Anna forced her lips into a curve, her mind screaming behind the mask. She nodded slowly, her body tense, every muscle bracing for the storm. The next morning, Anna stood by the sink, staring out at the street as children passed by. Jason approached, sliding his arms around her waist, whispering, "You're so quiet lately." Anna stiffened, replying, "I've just been thinking." Jason kissed her cheek softly, murmuring, "Don't overthink, we're perfect." His words hung like fog, heavy, suffocating. Anna's hands trembled over the dish towel, her chest pounding with the urge to scream the truth she still lacked. That evening, Anna returned to the bedroom to find Jason's phone left on the nightstand, screen glowing. A message preview flashed. "I miss you." Her breath caught, her knees weakened. She reached out, her finger hovering over the screen. Jason's voice boomed from the doorway. "What are you doing?" Anna spun, guilt and fear twisting her face. "I was just," she stammered. Jason snatched the phone, glaring with sharp eyes. "Stay out of my things," he snapped. The words cut deeper than any blade. Anna's heart pounded as she whispered, "Who is she?" Jason turned away. Silence his only answer. Anna scrolled through Jason's jacket pocket when he stepped out for a call. A second phone slipped into her hand, heavy with secrets. Her heart pounded as she unlocked it, and saw dozens of messages. Each one was intimate, affectionate, words Jason never spoke to her anymore. She whispered, "He has another life." The room spun as she scrolled faster, each line slicing deeper. Jason's laugh echoed faintly from outside, oblivious to her discovery. She dropped the phone onto the couch, her chest tightening, tears burning. The betrayal was no longer shadows in her mind. It was here, undeniable, glowing in her trembling hands. Anna confronted Laura with shaking hands, thrusting the second phone across the cafe table. "He's been sending love messages," Anna whispered. Laura's eyes widened, her lips tightening into fury. "Anna, this is not a mistake. This is deliberate." Anna bit her lip, her body trembling as she muttered, "I don't know who she is." Laura leaned forward, voice firm. "Then you find out. You deserve the truth, Anna." No more silence. Anna clutched her coffee cup, her breath uneven. Laura's strength steadied her, but the weight of the phone pressed like a stone in her chest. Anna followed Jason one night, her car headlights dim as she trailed his vehicle across quiet streets. Her pulse pounded as she whispered to herself, "Don't let me be right." Jason parked outside a modest townhouse, his posture shifting as he stepped out with casual confidence. The front door opened, and a young woman greeted him with a smile too familiar, too warm. Anna's grip on the steering wheel tightened as her world shattered in silence. She bent forward, her tears hot against her cheeks, the undeniable truth standing beneath a stranger's doorway. Back home, Anna confronted Jason with trembling rage. She threw the phone on the table, shouting, "Who is she?" Jason froze, his eyes sharp, mask cracking. He said, "You shouldn't have touched that." Anna's voice shook as she said, "You lied to me every day." Jason slammed his fist on the table, shouting, "I had no choice." Anna recoiled, her chest heaving, voice breaking. "You built our life on lies." Jason turned away, hands gripping his head, his silence heavier than his words. Later that night, Anna sat on the edge of the bed, her body trembling, as if her bones carried the weight of the truth. Jason stood in the doorway, his shoulders slumped, his voice low. "I never wanted you to know." Anna looked up, her eyes hollow, whispering, "But you made me live a lie." Silence stretched, suffocating, as Jason turned and walked out of the room. The click of the door closing felt final, echoing like the crack of a gun. Anna pressed her hand to her chest, her breath shallow, her world collapsing into pieces she could never fit together again. Anna slammed the second phone onto the table, her voice breaking into rage. "How many lies, Jason? How many nights with her while I waited for you?" Jason's face hardened, his jaw tight as he shouted, "You don't understand." Anna's tears streamed, her body trembling. "I gave up everything for us, and you gave yourself to someone else," she screamed. Jason's eyes burned with a mix of guilt and fury, his voice low. "I never meant for you to know." The silence stretched sharp as glass, both of them broken, trapped in the storm they created. Jason shouted louder, slamming his hand against the wall. "You never gave me space, Anna. You smothered me." Anna staggered back, clutching her chest, whispering, "I only gave you love." Jason paced, pulling at his hair, his voice cracking with desperation. "She listened to me. She made me feel alive." Anna gasped as if stabbed, whispering, "So I was never enough." The room shook with words sharper than knives. Neither noticed Laura standing in the doorway, her face pale with shock. Laura stepped forward, voice sharp. "Jason, stop lying. She deserves the truth." Jason's eyes widened, rage exploding. "Stay out of this, Laura." Anna turned to Laura, whispering, "You knew?" Laura's lips trembled, tears welling. "I suspected. But I didn't want to break you." Anna screamed. "Everyone knew but me." Her voice cracked, the sound tearing through the house. Jason gripped the edge of the table, veins throbbing, while Laura's face collapsed under guilt. The doorbell rang, slicing through the chaos. Jason froze, his face drained. Anna stormed to the door and yanked it open. Emma stood there, clutching a child's backpack, her eyes wide with fear. Emma whispered, "Jason, we need to talk." Anna's heart stopped, staring at the woman who carried the truth. She whispered, "You're the one." Jason's chest heaved as he shouted, "Emma, not here." But it was too late. The walls of deception collapsed as the secret life stood openly before them all. Anna's knees buckled as she whispered, "There's a child." Emma's eyes filled with tears, nodding silently. Jason shouted, "Anna, please." His voice cracked with desperation. Anna's scream filled the house, raw and guttural. "You built 2 lives. You stole mine." Jason tried to reach for her, but she shoved him back with all her strength. Laura rushed to catch Anna before she collapsed. The truth poured over them all, uncontainable, unmerciful, tearing apart every illusion. The house was suffocating with silence when dawn broke. Anna sat on the edge of the bed, the sunlight crawling through half-closed curtains, warming her pale face but failing to touch her heart. She stared at her hands, the veins trembling, the skin clammy from nights without rest. Jason sat slumped in a chair across the room, his body hunched, his head buried in his palms. His voice cracked as he muttered, "I never wanted to hurt you." The words hung empty, drained of meaning. Anna turned her head slowly, her voice hollow, whispering, "But you did. Every day you lied, you killed what we had." Jason's shoulders shook faintly, but no tears fell. The air between them was thicker than smoke, every breath a reminder of everything broken. Anna's chest rose and fell heavily, her silence sharper than screams. This was no fight. It was the quiet aftermath of destruction. 2 people in one room, bound by the ruins of promises, yet separated by an abyss that could never be crossed again. Later that day, Anna sat at the kitchen table with Laura, her only anchor in the storm. The room was quiet, except for the faint ticking of the wall clock. Anna's eyes brimmed with tears that refused to fall, her hands shaking as she clutched her coffee cup. Laura reached across the table, her touch grounding, her voice steady. "You don't have to carry this alone." Anna's voice cracked, whispering, "Everything I believed was real is gone. The man I loved, the life I thought I had, it was all smoke." Her words dissolved into silence, her body trembling as if she would collapse. Laura's gaze softened, but her tone carried iron. "Then you start over, Anna. We'll rebuild you piece by piece until you're stronger than before." Anna looked down at their clasped hands, a flicker of gratitude breaking through her despair. For the first time, she let out a shaky breath, not of hope yet, but of survival. Jason sat in his car in the driveway, the sun sinking into orange twilight. He gripped the steering wheel so tightly, his knuckles whitened, his breath shallow, uneven. His eyes were red, staring at nothing but his own reflection in the glass. He whispered, "I lost them both." The words choked him. He unlocked his phone, scrolling through Emma's messages, each unread, each colder than the last. Her last line glared back at him. "You promised us a future." His chest collapsed under the weight of his own betrayals. He muttered, "I can't fix this," before tossing the phone onto the passenger seat. The silence inside the car was unbearable. Jason let his head fall against the steering wheel, his shoulders trembling. The world outside kept moving. Neighbors walked dogs, children laughed faintly down the street. But inside the car, Jason sat frozen, his entire life reduced to ashes. No one could breathe back into flame. Anna walked through the park the following afternoon, the crisp autumn wind wrapping around her like a shroud. Leaves scattered across the path, crunching faintly under her steps. Children's laughter rang nearby, their carefree voices piercing her chest like knives. She stopped near a bench, clutching her coat tightly, whispering, "That could have been my life." Her knees weakened as she lowered herself onto the bench, her hands trembling in her lap. For the first time in days, she let the tears fall, streaming hot down her cheeks, soaking her collar. The tears came not from weakness, but release. She whispered into the cold wind, "I'll survive this," though her voice cracked, fragile as glass. She tilted her head back, staring at the gray sky, her lips trembling, but her heart sparking with the smallest flicker of defiance. The world had betrayed her, but she would not allow it to end her. Not yet. That night, Anna stood by the bedroom window, her reflection blending into the darkness outside. The stars shimmered faintly, distant but unbroken. She pressed her palm against the cold glass, her lips trembling as she whispered, "This is not my ending." Behind her, the bedroom was still, the air heavy but no longer suffocating. For the first time, she breathed without choking on his lies. Laura's words echoed in her mind, "You'll rise again," steady and reassuring. Anna closed her eyes, her shoulders straightening, a fragile strength rooting itself inside her bones. The house that once felt like a cage now felt empty, but that emptiness carried possibility. The silence was no longer just pain, it was the first breath of freedom. She whispered one last time, "I will rise," and turned from the window, her steps steady. The night stretched ahead, uncertain but hers to claim. Anna wandered through the empty house, every room echoing memories that now felt like sharp fragments of glass. The wedding photo on the wall stared back at her, mocking the love she once thought unshakable. She touched the frame, her fingertips trembling, whispering, "Every smile, every word, every promise, lies." Her chest ached, and she felt the walls close in on her. Jason stepped quietly into the doorway, his eyes sunken, his face pale, his voice cracked as he muttered, "Anna, I can fix this. I just need a chance." Anna turned to him slowly, her tears streaming down her face, and shook her head firmly. "You can't fix ashes, Jason. You burned everything." Jason took a hesitant step closer, desperation seeping from his expression, but Anna raised her hand sharply, her voice breaking yet firm. "Don't come near me again. Not ever." The silence that followed was unbearable, a silence that carried more weight than any scream. Anna sat on the wooden porch steps with Laura, the night wrapped around them in heavy silence. The wind brushed gently against their faces, carrying the faint sound of crickets and distant city life. Anna stared into the street, her hands clenched together, her shoulders tense. Laura leaned close, her voice steady and protective, whispering, "You're stronger than you think, Anna. You've carried more than most would survive." Anna's lips parted, her voice soft, trembling. "He broke me in ways I didn't know I could be broken, but he won't define the rest of my life." Laura squeezed her hand, warmth flowing through the darkness. "Then this isn't an ending, it's your rebirth," Laura said with quiet strength. Anna closed her eyes, letting the words sink into her bones. She breathed deeply, the night air cold and sharp but cleansing, the kind of air that promised tomorrow could still exist. The stars above shimmered faintly, as though listening. Jason sat slumped in the dark living room, the only light seeping through half-closed blinds from the street outside. A half-empty glass trembled in his hand as he whispered, "I lost everything." His phone glowed faintly on the table, the messages from Emma visible in fragments, her silence more brutal than her words. Jason scrolled with shaking hands, each unread message confirmation that even she had left him behind. He muttered bitterly, "Even she's gone." His reflection stared back at him in the window, hollow eyes in a stranger's face. He slammed the glass down on the table, shards scattering across the floor. The shattering sound echoed like the final collapse of a world he built on deceit. His chest heaved as he buried his head in his hands, his shoulders shaking, realizing no one was left, no wife, no lover, no family, just silence swallowing his cries. The park was cold in the early morning mist, the ground damp, the pond reflecting pale gray skies. Anna stood near the water, her coat wrapped tightly around her, clutching her wedding ring in her palm. Her breath fogged the air as she whispered, "This is the end of who I was, the beginning of who I will be." Her chest tightened, but her spine straightened as if she found new strength in the stillness around her. Closing her eyes, she breathed deeply, letting the air pierce through her pain and clear the fog within her. She opened her hand and stared at the small golden band, its shine dimmed by the clouds overhead. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Goodbye, Jason," and hurled it into the pond. The ring broke the surface with a hollow splash, ripples spreading far and wide across the water, each ripple a severed tie, each circle an echo of freedom. That night, Anna returned home, her body tired, but her spirit standing on fragile new ground. She walked slowly into the bedroom, the air cold, the walls bare. She whispered softly, "This chapter is closed." She lay on the bed, pulling the blanket over herself, her eyes closing not from despair but from release. Outside the door, Jason stood, his hand hovering inches above the wood. His face was hollow, his voice broken as he whispered, "Anna, I'm sorry." The silence on the other side of the door pressed into him like a blade. Anna kept her eyes closed, refusing to answer, her silence speaking louder than his pleas ever could. The house became still, and in that stillness, Anna's strength was sealed. Jason was left in the hallway, broken, staring at a closed door that would never open to him again.